Well, it's not a great start to the week or the brand new month with Asia giving us a nice little move to the downside. I shouldn't say little, it feels big today, actually. And I think we need to start preparing for potentially 75K Bitcoin. That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. I'm going to get straight into a price action. I'm going to show you high time frame down and give you an idea of what to look out for in the US session today, as I think that's going to be important price action for us to be monitoring. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm Annie. This is Trade Travel Chill. Be sure to hit that like button nice and early and hit subscribe if you're not already subscribed so that you can be notified every time I do a new update. So let's go in straight into Bitcoin and have a chat about the high time frame, because that has always told us the story that any small time frame long positions should be taken with caution because the daily time frame currently is in a bearish trend. And that is simply a fact by using market structure. We have lower highs and lower lows on the daily time frame. Now, if we're following the method that we trade here at Trade Travel Chill, we are expecting one more move to the downside, as we tend to see price action move in phases of 3. However, there can be an exception to this rule, which is if you are in a macro trend and level 2 finishes in a very key significant area, you may only get 2 drops. So the first thing for us to qualify is, did the level 2 drop through here finish in a key significant area? In order to qualify it as a key significant area, that level must have acted as support or resistance quite a number of times. So we're talking about this wick low. When I have a look at that, I would not say that particularly qualifies, which does open us up to a pretty high chance of lower prices than what we experienced over here in the last weeks of November. But there is one thing that may change that trend, which we will have a look at on lower timeframes. So the reason why I'm saying 75K is kind of an area if we break lower than this red vector candle right here is because we currently have significant long orders down there. So there's a lot of long orders here, but when I scroll over them, they're not significant until we get all the way down to the 75K region. So we do need to be prepared for that. And then another thing we can do to try and match that up is have a look at the long time frame liquidity to see if there is liquidity around that area from people opening long positions. And we do have some liquidity around that area. I would say it's between 80 to 75K is the area to be watching if we break this low here. So the only positive about this low is that it was a fairly significant wick off the 800 EMA. And that's why you would be having a look now to see if market structure changes on smaller timeframes, because if it does, then that's your hint that we're not coming down for this yet, right? We may have a bounce first. So now that we understand the macro levels, we then need to go and have a look at smaller timeframes and see if we can see any hint of a potential change in trend. So when I have a look at the 4-hour time frame, my levels, according to my personal trading strategy, are done. Okay, so as I said earlier, things move in 3s. So this is level 1, a retracement, level 2, retracement, level 3. If you want to learn this, now is the most perfect time because this really has helped us nail all of our trades by following this system. And being Black Friday weekend or week, it's now Cyber Monday, this is the one time a year that we do massive discounts on our memberships. So you can take advantage of the Black Friday sale. Get involved. It gives you access to everything that our memberships include. That's our online courses, the indicators that you see me use on this channel, our live sessions, which we do multiple of them daily, and of course our Discord where we are trading with our community all the time. Now you can pick up a membership at TTC for 45% off. So check that out in the description down below. Have a read of everything that you get access to and you can get in there and get learning. It's time to lock in, especially if this bearish trend continues. It could be the beginning of a bear market at this point in time. You definitely want to be locking in for that because if you were just a long-term investor, you're not going to be making money in a bear market. The only way to make money in a bear market is to know how to trade. So let's talk about this now. After your 3 levels are played out, we're looking to see if market structure changes. The problem with this here is that all week last week, we were talking about this having the potential to be forming a left side W formation, and we wanted to see a right side form. Now, the problem with this structure right here is it took an extremely long amount of time to form, which wasn't very positive. But at the end of the day, it was on small time frames, it was moving up in an uptrend, and there was a small long position information there to take. I put this warning out in my Discord last night, where I usually do an update on Sundays to let them know how I think the market might open or what to be looking out for. So I was talking about that 4-hour potential W right here, and I said the time that it's taking to form is so long. I don't think we should bank on a W definitely happening anymore because it's just taken so long. Even if it does, we are better off riding the small time frame trend until we think the center peak is in, taking profit and re-entering later if a right side does actually form. It's too risky to ride it back down in hopes of a second side W now. So when we have a look at the chart, this was the risk, right? So this was posted before this drop, which happened today. This was posted last night. And for community members reading that post, they could either have chosen to take profit on their longs or put their stop loss under the consolidation, which is usually what we advise. And then that way, when it drops, it hits your stop loss in profit, you collect those profits and you don't have to worry about it. So what would need to happen in order for us to have upside now is the second side has to form. But the problem is this isn't really the behavior of an inside right side of a W. This is a pretty straight drop. And the risk that we have right now is a potential retracement and then further downside. And if it does that, it's going to come too far into this trap trader zone. We would still have to reassess if it got there. But at this point in time, the worry that I have right now is the reason why this happened. So, I mean, there's a lot of theories out there as to why we had this big drop today, but most people are leaning towards the Japanese yen carry trade idea because we dropped in Asia. And the problem is when you go back in time and have a look at the last time that happened, I think it was 2024, around August, we were dealing with this exact same situation. Here we go. So you can see here that last time, prior to this whole carry trade news coming out, this was around August 2024, we had a run up into the news. It was at the beginning of August. That's where we saw the really, really big sell-off. And following that big sell-off, we repeated the level. So see here, we had even this here is very similar to the type of movement that we've been seeing over the last week or two. We're sure we had a bounce, but the bounce was really low volume. It was really weak. It wasn't a strong trend. It didn't give us a W formation early. It took a long time to play out. Like if we measure out this side to its center peak, that took 20 days. That's very similar to what we are currently experiencing. And the second side of this W formation was here when it returned into the area. That was 32 days. So it was an entire month for this W formation to form after the initial sell-off from the whole carry trade situation. And then the market did recover after that, right? Like pretty significantly, okay? So we could have a repeat of that, and it's something we need to prepare for. The other thing too is in a lot of this time where the market was selling off, it's kind of hard to see now, but when you really zoom in on it, a lot of the sell-offs happened in US session throughout this period of time. So Asia would run it up, US would take it back, Asia would run it up, US would take it back. That started happening a lot. So I'd be looking for a similar behavior next, not necessarily Asia running it up. Maybe they run it down and US recovers. I'm not 100% sure. But the main thing that we need to know is during this period of time, the US for the most part was selling off. And today, what we care about is the US. So I want you to be cautious today. I know we've had a sell-off and I know people want this to be the right side of the W formation on the 4-hour to go long, but I would be very, very careful of the US session today. We have not had a very strong bounce or even consolidation since this morning's sell-off. And so the price action is really quite tricky. I'm personally just sitting on my hands and waiting, and I'm very curious to see how the US responds later on today. But let me just quickly show you how we caught this trade in Discord, because after I did this post, I started to see the chance that we were going to break down. And I posted this to the community saying possible M under the area of interest, wouldn't short from there, but a break and retest of the 50 EMA you could. So let me show you exactly how that was right there. So that was posted here as we had the weekend trap breakout. So if you're new to this channel, there's a typical type of price action that we call the weekend trap, where price basically traps you on Friday in one direction with a spike high or a spike low, and then it traps you into consolidation so that your trade doesn't really go anywhere and you stay in an open position all weekend. And then when the week opens, they issue a false move to trigger stop losses and liquidations, and also trigger buy stops and sell stops, trap traders, and then they make the real move of the week. So this was very typical this week when we had this move up. You can see that the trap traders were given here on Friday with the peak formation to the high, bring it back down, go into a range, spike to the upside. So what that means is that from this here, people shorted in consolidation on the weekend. Their liquidation levels would be above the range. And this little spike here liquidated them, also triggered other long orders, and then bang, goes down. As it goes down, it liquidates those long orders. So the job is definitely done on that, liquidating weekend traders, the job is done. But here's the entry that I was talking about in that post. So this was the M formation that I posted where I said to the community, wait for 50 EMA break and retest. And there was 2 ways to enter depending on the confidence of the actual members in Discord. So some would have entered here on the lower high. So another strategy is to mark out the halfway mark of the red vector, and then you look for a rejection there. So the halfway mark is exactly where we wicked. So some members would have opened a short off these candles right here. Other members that want a little bit more clarity, wait for the price to actually break down and then retest the 50 EMA, which you can see there was a number of candles that retested the 50 EMA here, which is the blue one. So 2 chances actually for our community to enter, and a lot of our community did catch this trade. We didn't need to know about Japanese yen carry. We didn't need to know. The price showed us that we were going to break down. Could we have predicted it would be this dramatic? No, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that we get the direction right. The news always comes after the price action anyway. So what we can see since there is that price is kind of hovering around 50% Asia level now at the UK session. My prediction inside of Discord was that I had a feeling UK would consolidate and US might actually continue the bleed to the downside. So this is why for me, I'm not in a mood to buy the dip on this. I don't think this was necessarily a one-time thing. Is it possible that US pumps? Yes, because just like I showed you before, in the last time this was happening, we had Asia making the move one way and US taking it back. So is it possible US takes it back today? Yeah, it's possible. But you will see signs of that before it happens, meaning you will start to see a structural change somewhere around the end of the UK session close and beginning of US. And this is on very small time frame, you'll see that. So 15-minute, 5-minute. If you don't see that, I would not take chances on it because I do think there's a big chance that US might continue this move to the downside simply because there has not been a strong bounce since. This kind of looks like a temporary recovery that just took out liquidation levels because there was a ton of liquidity here before we go into further downside. Another trade that we took in Discord on Friday that's going really, really well, we shorted curve here. This was meant to be just a Friday day trade. I put it out here to the community where I said, this is setting up to be a good short position. I'll be watching for an entry. If I don't get it before the weekend, I won't take it. And I was lucky enough to get it. So we got this entry on Friday. Once the initial move had happened down through here, I did another update for the community telling them, okay, that was target 1. So we actually hit target 1 really early, even in the US session, the entire trade played out. And I said to the community, it's probably worth holding because there's probably more drops to go. Obviously, we consolidated through the weekend. And then as we've opened, we've got another drop through there. So this trade is currently sitting at a 14-to-1 risk reward, which is a pretty big trade that was intended to just be a day trade. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that you'll get access to if you come and join us. So be sure to check out the Black Friday special. The link is in the description of the video and I'll see you guys on the next one. And also while you're down there, don't forget to check out our exchange options because we do fight to get you guys the biggest trading fee rebates in the industry and really good deals. So you'll also see on this page, if you scroll down, there's other Black Friday offers, one with BitUnix and another one with High Block who we use to get our liquidation levels. So check all that out and I'll see you guys on the next video.